Hi everyone, welcome back to your weekly Pilates mobility session with myself, Peter. Before we get started, I'd like to thank Trainify for sponsoring this workout. So trainify.tv, head over there and you can get £20 worth of free credits and also access to Pilates classes like this and also high intensity interval training, yoga, all that good stuff, classes 6 days a week. So for today, the session, we're going to focus on kind of mobilizing your hips and through the legs a little bit and how that can kind of impact positively through the rest of the body. So we're going to start off lying down onto your back. So let's get yourself lying down just onto your mat. That's all we're going to need for the session today. And just get into a position where you can lengthen one leg down and then your other knee, pull that in towards the body. So hold this shape just to begin and then just keep that slight bend at your elbows as you're in this position. So allow the knee to kind of roll out wide and then circle that knee back in through the middle. So I want you to feel like it's more your arms that are kind of dictating the movement that we take into the kind of right hip if you're following the same leg as myself. So the left leg remains lengthened and just really feel like with this right thigh bone that you're stirring it around the whole range of your hip socket, the hip joint itself. Now you're just going to bring that leg back in and then bend at the left knee with the left foot pressing down onto the mat and bring your hands onto the back of your right thigh now. So just hold this shape, left foot stays pressing down, and then just as we breathe in, you're going to lengthen that left leg up as high as we can, but without allowing the thigh to move away. Exhale to lower it down. Repeat, inhale, raise the leg up, exhale, fold. So the elbows stay bent and we're not allowing the thigh to kind of move away. So the front of the thigh stays quite close, pressing into our kind of abdomen area. And then just on the next one, raise that leg up, hold this position. And just take a few deep breaths from here. Notice that there's that stretch into the hamstrings at the back of the right thigh, maybe a little bit into the calf, and that creates a little bit of point of tension and movement into the foot as well. A few deep breaths. And relax. Bend the knee and then lengthen that right leg down fully. Now, the hands go over the top of your knee to begin. Elbows wide, right leg stays lengthened, left knee stays pulled in toward the body. So just allow that knee to fall out wide and then circle it back in. Continue with that movement. So almost feel, as I say, with the thigh bone that you're stirring it around the part which is the hip socket on this left side. And just with your breathing, just kind of as and when you need, not following any specific kind of inhale or exhale. Just doing it, as I say, as we need to, and not holding the breath. Let's do a couple more here. And then hug the knee, keep it in toward the body. You're going to bend your right knee, bring that foot onto the floor, and then both hands go behind the left thigh. Good. As you breathe out, raise the leg up, breathe into lower. So just changing the breath in comparison to the other side to see if that has any effect on how we do the movement. For me, this is most definitely my tighter leg. And the fact that most everyone has a dominant arm and hand that they write with or work with, and then if you play kind of certain sports, you'll have a dominant leg that you kick with as well. That understanding means that we are going to have that kind of misalignment. None of us are perfectly symmetrical or aligned. Let's go a couple more here. Just on the next one, raise that leg up. Keep the elbows bent, keep the left thigh quite close into the abdomen, pressing against it if we can. Have the leg as long as we can get it, feeling that end range stretch. Take a few deep breaths. And then bend at the knee and bring your foot back down. Good. So just going to shuffle down the mat ever so slightly. And then just as you're lying now, just take your feet to the widest point of your mat. So just that little bit wider than hip width distance, more than likely. And then your hands go out wide onto the floor, either side of you. So just from this position, you're going to drop both knees out to the left side. So the outside of the left foot and the inside of the right foot will come close to the floor. And then just look over your right shoulder. So bring your knees back through the middle. And then you're going to allow them to drop over to the right side. And then look over your left shoulder. Good. And just keep going from one side to the other. Good. So as you reach the knees away, you want to feel that knee along the inside that drops more toward the middle of the body. It's like it's being pulled away from the opposite diagonal shoulder. So we increase more of the stretch along the side of the waist as we do it. And then turning your head the opposite direction to the legs are going, so that we create more twist up in through the rib cage and a little bit of stretch up through the neck as well. Good. On the first side now, both knees drop over to the left. Outside of that left thigh, can it meet the floor? Can you try and bring the right knee down onto the floor? Look over your right shoulder. Couple of deep breaths from here. Bring the knees back through the center. Drop both knees over to the right now. Look over your left shoulder. The outside of the thigh and the right leg should meet the floor. Maybe see if we can bring the inside of the left knee and the left thigh to meet the floor as well. A few deep breaths. And then bring your knees back through the center. Look up. So I'm just going to shuffle down my mat slightly to get a little bit more room. And we're going to leave it with the kind of hip mobility for now and bringing it into a little bit more movement around the shoulders. So really simple to begin. We're going to start off and work into a little bit of shoulder external rotation. So if we're kind of working at computers and screens and traveling a lot, we're going to be really biased toward kind of internal rotation, everything being pulled this way. So we're going to work into the opposite range. So just bring your feet hip width distance onto the mat, and then with your elbows, they're wide in relation to the shoulders, and then they're pressing down onto the floor. Now just from this position, before we introduce any movement, have your hands and forearms pretty parallel to each other, and you're looking up to the ceiling. I want you to find 3 heavy points of contact against the floor below you. The back of your pelvis, back of your ribcage, and the back of your skull. Now, as you breathe in, you're going to allow your hands to fall behind, down toward the floor. Now, can you take them down, but those 3 points of heaviness stay against the mat? Breathe out, the arms reach up. Continue like that. Breathe in, the arms fall over. Breathe out, they lift up. So, for this one, we want to feel like there's a lot more range coming into the shoulder. So open the front of it and allow the back of your hands to maybe, and the back of your forearms to meet the mat and meet the floor. One more here. Now, maybe if your hands aren't meeting the floor like myself, bring them down and allow your elbows to lift up. You're going to feel that deep stretch across the front of the shoulders and into our chest as well. Now, as you breathe in, you're going to lengthen the arms away and try and get them as long overhead as you're able. And then breathe out, fold at the elbows as the arms come back in. Good, breathe in, extend the arms away, breathe out, fold at the shoulders and the elbows as the arms come in. We'll do about 3 more here. So again, explore whatever range you have. This, for most everyone, is going to feel quite tight. So it's good to create that stretch. And whatever range you're able to work through, fantastic. But keep those 3 heavy points in contact with the mat. Pelvis, back of the ribcage, back of the skull. Arms lengthen. Keep your shoulders relaxed away from your ears. Take a few deep breaths here. And then bring the arms back up and come down onto your hands, pressing onto the mat. Good. So from that, I'm going to come up into seated position and just work it into a little bit of a mermaid. So if you're following these sessions from when we started, on week 1 and week 2, we would have done some variations on mermaid as well. So your legs are in this L-shaped position, and we're going to focus on that kind of hip internal external rotation from here. So the right leg is in front, the left leg is out to the side, and then you're going to press the front of that left foot down into the mat itself. And that should bring this hip a little bit lower onto the mat also. So I want you just to have your right hand out to the side of you, resting on your fingers and your thumb. And then just with your left hand onto your thigh, you're just going to glide the thigh forward so that your bum lifts off, and we're moving into that kind of internal rotation. And then just with your hand, glide the thigh back as we move into that external rotation. And just keep working through those 2 points. And just notice as you come up that your upper body will want to just slightly rotate and turn to the right, which is what we want. And then as you come back down, you'll be facing a little bit more in front. Good. And for me, this is much tighter on this hip than it is the other. So again, have a check-in with what feels like that for yourself. And even though we've just done the first side, I know from a lot of practice that this is tight. So it feels really nice to move into it with that range. Now, keep the fingers of the right hand and the thumb on the mat, and your left arm reaches up. This sit bone stays pressing down into the mat itself. Take a deep breath in, and then you're going to start walking the fingers of that right hand away and just tipping your left arm over. Your left palm comes to press onto the floor. So you're going to hold this position. As I say, if you've been following the sessions the last few weeks, you'll know this mermaid's shape, but we're going to bring in twist. So you're going to twist round with your left arm going underneath the right, and then push the floor away as the left arm reaches up. We'll do that a couple more times. Push, reach up. Last one here. Reach up. Good. So now you're going to bring the fingers of the left hand down, and then the right hand comes down, and just come up as high as you're able to from this shape. So we're in extension through the spine, and maybe take your fingers wider on the mat if that feels better. Now you're going to come down on your palms, push the floor away, and notice that your left hip will come a little bit lower. So we curve and flex the spine, and then lift up onto the fingers and the thumbs as we come up into extension, and then come down for the palms, push the floor away, flex the back. Do that a couple more times here. Good. Lift up and hold. Stay this position. Take a few deep breaths. And then bring yourself back through the center. So now, let's spin the legs around the other side. So, right leg out to the side, left leg in front. So again, we find that L shape. And then the front of this right foot presses down into the mat, so we can maybe bring the sit bone down a little bit with more ease rather onto the mat itself. So fingers of the left hand go wide, just resting onto the fingers and thumb, and then your right hand goes onto the top of that thigh. Now as we push the thigh forward, you'll drop down into the left hip and find that internal rotation, and then push the thigh back as we sit down onto the right sit bone and go external rotation. And again, just move through those ranges, using the right hand to kind of guide, going each direction. And as you drop back, you'll be looking forward, and then as you push and slide forward, you'll be twisting to the left ever so slightly. Good, one more here. And then just come back through the center. Good. So sit bone's pretty even. The right arm reaches up. And then just start walking the fingers of the left hand out until you come down onto that left palm, and the right arm comes up and over, creating that arc. Take a deep breath in. As we exhale, we're going to twist, thread that right arm underneath the body, push the mat, breathe in, reach the arm up. So again, we'll go a couple more here. Good. This time as we reach down, bring the fingers of the right hand onto the mat, and then come up onto the fingers of the left. Hands wide, lift your chest as you look forward. We extend through the spine. Your right sit bone and thigh will lift off the mat, and then come down onto the palms, push the floor away as we flex the spine. The sit bone will come a little bit lower. Come up onto the fingertips, lift the chest, lift your head, come down onto your palms, curve your back, look to the floor. And again, just working through one range. and then the other. On the next one, lift up and hold it. Good. Hands maybe slightly wider, collarbones wide. Take a few deep breaths here. And then walk your hands back in. Good. So now, I'm going to take that up to standing. And just from a standing position, just going to get hair out of my face slightly. Have your feet hip width distance. And then hands on your thighs. And just walk your hands down just slightly behind, past the knees rather. So now, curve forward, but keep your hands there. Head drops down, and we feel that stretch down the back of the thighs and down the back of your spine as well. Now, you're just going to push your hands into your shins and the knees, and then lengthen the spine so we look directly to the floor. The elbows fall wide as we curve, and then push into the shins, lift up, find that lengthened position, including the back of the neck. Good, we'll do a couple more. Push, straighten the arms, lengthen the spine, back of the neck included. Elbows wide, curve your spine, see if you can drop your head a little bit closer to the mat. Good. And then hang out here. Now, just walk your feet out a little bit wider to the widest point of the mat, and then your fingers come down onto the mat itself. So the fingers of your left hand are going to come to the middle, and your right hand just lifts slightly off the mat itself. So we maintain that deep stretch down the back of the legs. As we breathe in, push into the left hand, reach the right arm up. Breathe out. That arm comes down. Breathe in, push, reach the right arm up. 3 more. Last one here. Reach up, looking to the fingers of that right hand, and relax. Good, other way. Fingers and thumb of that right hand go to the middle. If you need to have a little bit more of a bend at your knees, please take it. Left hand comes off the floor. And then breathe in as we push into the mat. Reach the left arm up. Breathe out. Allow the arm to drop down. And again, 3 more here. Last 2. On the last one, push, look up to that left hand. And then bring the hand back down. Good. Walk your feet back in about hip width distance. Soften through the knees. And then bring yourself down to kneeling onto the mat. Good. And then just get yourself turning, facing toward the screen. Roll your shoulders back just a couple of times. Look over one shoulder, look over the other shoulder. Hopefully we feel we've got a lot more space around the hips and through the shoulders, and a little bit more range of movement through the spine as well. Okay, everyone, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the session. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff to the YouTube channel where you get access to this for free, and head over to trainify.tv so you can get some free credits, and then maybe you can get met up with a trainer online or in person pretty soon, fingers crossed, and we can help you out to work on getting your mobility and improving your fitness a lot more as well. Have a great rest of your week, guys. Take care. Bye.